Good morning. I hope everything's going well in your world today and that this is the beginning of just a wonderful week for you. I want to think with you today about one of the great topics of all of Scripture and really of life, and that's the subject of prayer. And in the book of James in particular, which may well have been at least one of the very first books of the New Testament written by the half brother of Jesus, who had become an elder in the church in Jerusalem and a real leader among the people of God in the city of Jerusalem, and especially among Jewish Christians. And he writes to those that were scattered abroad, those Jewish Christians primarily that were scattered all over. And it's intriguing how much in that book is given to the topic of prayer. In the very first chapter, he said, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives freely to all and doesn't withhold. He said, but you need to ask in faith, not doubting, for the one that doubts is like a wave of the sea that's driven by the wind and tossed. And don't let that person think that he'll receive anything from the Lord. So ask. Ask and God will give you. He'll give you that wisdom that you need. Now, there's a difference in wisdom and knowledge. We gain knowledge by studying and reading and listening and thinking and all kinds of effort on our part. Wisdom is a different thing. Wisdom is knowing how to use the knowledge. Many have a great amount of knowledge but don't use it very well, and sometimes use it to actually do tremendous harm. I think about the individual who spends their life figuring out all kinds of things to use them to hurt other people. Think about that individual that has studied and learned how to use all of the computer type things and then uses it to steal from other people or to pretend to be someone and hurt another individual. It doesn't make sense to me that one would have that kind of knowledge, and instead of using it to be a benefit or to bless the world around them, they use it to try to hurt people and to tear them down. And so, thank God, we have a God of the universe that longs to give us wisdom. He freely offers us that wisdom if we ask. Now, later in James chapter 4, James says that many don't have because they don't ask. And they ask and don't receive because they ask it amiss to consume it on their own lust. And it's, by the way, in a context why when he's talking about why do those that are trying to follow Christ get into so many arguments among themselves? Why can't they get along? And James talks about the fact that we're going in the whole wrong direction. We're thinking wrong, and we're not thinking about building up and blessing and encouraging the other person, but somehow in tearing them down. Later in the book of James in chapter 5, he'll say, if any of you are sick, let them call for the elders of the church that they may come and anoint them with oil and say the prayer of faith for them, for that prayer of faith will save the sick. And then he used the illustration of Elijah, who prayed for it not to rain, and it didn't rain on the earth. And that time period went by when all of Ahab and his people were searching, trying to find water because Elijah had prayed and God had shut down the rain. Then he prayed again and God sent the rain. He said Elijah was a man like us. And so our prayers can make all the difference in the world. We need to be those that carry our prayers unto God. Prayer is one of the most powerful things, not because of the method, but because of the God we serve, who listens to our prayers and longs to bless our lives. And so every one of us need to pray, not as some big obligation where I can say, well, I spend this many minutes or this many hours a day in prayer, but I need to go to my loving Father to talk with Him, to share with Him, to listen to Him, because prayer can change things when it is a prayer unto the God of the universe.